really proud of our guys and the way that they worked and competed today. We had a great turnout with all the NFL teams represented, and thankful to our administration for allowing us to have a pro day and laying out the parameters which we could do it safely. And I think our guys helped themselves today. And now it's up to the NFL here leading up to the draft to make their decisions. But I think all the guys that worked out today showed that they'd be an asset to any NFL franchise. With that, I'll open up for questions.
Great. We'll start off with James Williams from the Southern California News Group. James, go ahead.
Hey, Manny, can you talk about Jalen Phillips and the transformation you've seen from him as he made the move from UCLA over to Miami?
Yeah, I mean, the only Jalen Phillips I know is since he came to our campus. And, certainly we had, done our research of his time at UCLA. And, he had to be here for a year without playing football, couldn't even practice. And all Jalen did was an outstanding student, did everything right, never showed up on a list, and completely transformed his body in the weight room. And then we're getting ready for football last spring, and football gets taken away for COVID. So it's still almost as if we haven't really taken him out of the box yet. And he comes out this training camp, and with his effort, forget about his talent was on display today, but with his effort, desire, and want to, he set the tempo for our entire defense. And then I think he had a great year because of it. So we've got nothing but positive to say about Jalen. He's done everything we've asked him to do since he's been here in Coral Gables.
Great. Next, we'll go to Michael Kinder from Overtime. Michael, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Mike Kinder from Overtime Fantasy. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was just wondering, with King coming back as your quarterback this year, the expectations is playoff bound. Is that the feeling around campus?
Well, this is the University of Miami. I mean, our expectations are to compete for championships every year. But for us, that starts with winning the ACC Coastal. Then you get to Charlotte, and you have a pretty good idea who'll be waiting for you in Charlotte. And then what history shows that the last, 7 or 8 years or whatever since the playoffs been around, whoever wins that game in Charlotte goes to the playoff game. So that's where it starts for us, and that's how we rebuild it every year.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Next, we'll go to Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times. Matt, go ahead.
Hey, Manny, what are the biggest things NFL teams should know about Jalen Phillips?
I think that's it. I think they want to know, who he is off the field and how he's been. A lot of times what NFL players want to know about Jalen and most of the guys is, how do they learn? How are they in the classroom? Can they handle, different things schematically and the things you can't get off of film, the things you can't get off of tape, which is the same thing we do when we turn around, we talk to the high school coaches. So, and that's why they want to verify. They want to verify that Jalen checks all the boxes. A lot of times they're going to know the answer because they've asked other people, and they just want to see you confirm what they've already found out.
Next, we'll go to Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny, go ahead.
Hey, Manny, I think you told me once that Gregory Rousseau might have been one of the best recruits you ever got just because of where he came from and how he developed. I'm curious, a year away from him, how different did he look from the last time you saw him? And did he look better? What areas did you see him improve?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I was standing next to a few of our players, Nesta, John Ford, a couple other guys, Zach McLeod, and we were watching Greg from across the indoor, and we're like, did Greg get taller? Maybe we just forgot, not having been around him, how tall he actually is. I thought Greg did a nice job today. Certainly it's tough when you're not in a day-to-day football practice setting and going through those drills, time after time with other people doing it, getting that type of instruction. But look, Greg he's going to do everything exactly the way he's coached how to do it. He's going to try to, do it the right way, and finish everything he does, which is, how he was when he was here. And that's what I saw out of him today.
Thanks.
Next up, we'll go to Marla Ridenour from the Akron Beacon Journal. Marla, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I was just curious about Greg. Second in the nation in sacks behind Chase Young that one season. How do you think it's going to be hard for him to recapture that?
Well, what he has to do is translate to getting into an NFL team and earning his role and all that. But what Greg does is that he's got great length. He's got great athletic ability, but a lot of his sacks came just because he was relentless and chased down quarterbacks and could get guys on the ground because of his great reach. And, those are things that I believe all will translate to the next level, as he learns his way and continues to refine his game.
Next up, we'll go to Turin Davenport from ESPN. Turin, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach Manny, a lot of the attention is going to Rousseau and Phillips, and rightfully so. But what can you say about Quincy Rochet, another guy who actually stood out today?
Yeah, I thought Quincy was excellent today and showed a lot of versatility, because there's different ways that teams can use him. Quincy's just good at football. He's got great instincts. He's got a great knack for the game. And, but he, you watch him run on hoops, he can bend, he can turn, sharp angles. So Quincy's one of those guys that just is going to always, be productive and fill up a stat sheet. And, and again, when you talk about a defensive end type position, those are usually big game changing type plays.
Okay, we got time for a couple more. We'll go to Joshua Allen from Bucks Report. Joshua, go ahead.
Hey, how we doing today?
Good.
Just what kind of challenges did this season present for you and your players? Obviously dealing with all the different restrictions and protocols, and how did they, how was the resiliency of overcoming those challenges?
Well, you mentioned it was a year where you had to master, adapting because you never got things quite the way you wanted them. Even our football team adapting to not having Greg Rousseau and a guy like Jalen Phillips stepping up. So I think everybody kind of learned that every day when you came to the building that nothing was ever going to be the way you expected it. I'll be very honest, that really hasn't changed. We're still going through spring ball, and that's still going on right now. And you don't moan about what you wish you had or the way things are when they're normal. You just find a way to adapt and adjust to the way things are now. And I do give the players a lot of credit. It is hard. I sympathize when I see the other sports that are going on right now. It is hard to really express how difficult this has been this year, but it's been so good to have sports back and provide the outlet it does for all of us.
Next, we'll go to John Shearer from Sideline Sports. John, go ahead.
Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
So I'm curious what it's like for you when your guys go to the NFL and they make a career out of themselves. What does that do for you as a head coach personally? How does that feel to you? Thank you.
Well, you're proud of them because you want to see them, be able to fulfill their dreams of making the NFL. But I think the longer you're in this profession, you realize that that's just really one part of it. And, I'm equally as proud when I see them on social media posting that they took their kindergarten to school for the first day or got married or had their firstborn and those type of changes, because football doesn't last forever, as we know. So you want to help them and do everything you can to help them get to the NFL, but you have to prepare them for a life that one day someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, you can't play this game anymore. And you want them prepared for that part too.
And last, we'll go to Chris Stock from Inside the U. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, you've had a few days since that first scrimmage. I was just curious if there's anything that you saw on film over the last few days, any reaction from your initial reaction from that day? No,
I think about what we said. We'll get back to work tomorrow, and it's just kind of a snapshot of where everybody is. But I think the initial impressions, I think there was a lot of good on both sides of the ball, and which is what, there's always going to be some give and take in spring. But more than anything, what I'm pleased about is just the competition back and forth is good, right? Because that's what I want to see. And now we sort of go into phase 2 where we get more situational and, dig into the scheme a little bit more. So, I think we'll really be ready. I think our second scrimmage is I'm not gonna say it's the most important one because they're all very important, but the one we have coming up next week will be big.